And good evening and welcome to the November 28th meeting of the Murfreesboro City School Board. We're glad to have those of you that are with us tonight, and we're glad to have those that are watching at home. At this time, I'm going to ask you to stand. We have three lovely young ladies to lead us in our pledge. Addie Trinan and her sister Kieran, both of them are from Hopgood Elementary, and also Harley Parker, a sixth grader at Black Fox, to lead us in our pledge, followed then by our moment of silence. Ladies?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now our moment of silence. Thank you. All right, board members, you have a copy of the agenda in front of you, and it has been posted. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Have a second. Thank you, Ms. Rainier. Second. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? And there is none. I would like to get board approval on our process to move our Director of School evaluation results up before our general communications, if that is okay with other board members.
That's fine.
Everybody approve? Okay. Mr. Randy Bennett is here from Tennessee School Board Association to present to us the results of the evaluation. And before we start, happy anniversary tomorrow, 21 years, I understand, so good for you.
Well, thank you very much. And most of the people who know me will claim that my wife deserves a medal. So we'll see if anybody gives her one. I don't know if any of you have one you'd like to share with her. I'm sure she would appreciate it. You each have a copy of the evaluation there before you. I could start from the beginning and go through to the end, but I know that the entire time I do that, you'll be looking at the last page. So let's go to the last page, and then we'll work our way back. The last page is the overall scores for each of the three. Appendix A, which was the administrators. Appendix B, which was your perceptions as a board, and Appendix C, but also your assessment of the completion of the goals. And as you can see, this year they are weighted 35% for Appendix A, and 50% for Appendix B, and 15% for Appendix C. And I think we all know that there's been issues with testing around the state this year, and I think that's certainly appropriate under the circumstances. But as you can see, the mean score for Appendix A was 4.38, which the weighted score brought that to a 1.53. The Appendix B, which was the part that you all filled out, was 4.31, and the weighted score for that is 2.16 because that did count for half the score. And finally, Appendix C was 3.47, and that's 15% of that, and that's 0.53 for an overall weighted evaluation score of 4.22. Now, as you know, your scale is very similar to what the teachers use, and 4 is above average, and 5 is significantly above average. You're above average, and you're moving toward that mark. So I think it's a very good overall evaluation score. And I think that Dr. Gilbert, I hope, is satisfied with it, but I think you should be proud of the excellent job that she's done. Any questions about the ratings of the score before we go back and just talk about the rest of the evaluation? Just going backwards, these next two pages are comments from both you and the administrators. As you can see, you all are a little bit more talkative than the administrators are, but we've got all of your comments listed here, and if I left any out, I apologize. So those are things that you can look through on your own. If you go back to page 6, you begin the board assessment. You've got the 6 different areas: the board relationship, the community relationship, staff and personnel relationship, facilities and finance, vision, and student achievement. As you can see, the overall mean score for all of that was 4.31, and each of the section is also scored as far as the average goes too. But 4.31 again is a very respectable percentage. Moving back a little further to Appendix A, this is your administrators filling those out. And as you can see, the overall score there was 4.38. And I think that's an excellent score, too. So I'll close that up and, again, ask for any questions. I think it's a really good evaluation, and I think it's one that all of you can be proud of, especially Dr. Gilbert. And if there are any questions, I will entertain them at this point.
All right. Board members, any of you have a question pertaining to the evaluation? You had received a copy yesterday, and hopefully you had some time to look over it. Any questions or discussion?
I'll just add, keep up the good work. We appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else? Any other comment?
I have a question. In regards to the administrators, just to be clear, that administrators are the principals, is that correct?
They are the people that report to me. That would include all the principals. That would include the immediate central office staff.
Okay, so the central office staff is not included in this evaluation?
Yes, they are included in Appendix A. And that would be primarily Gary, Ralph, Joe, Lisa.
Great.
I'm trying to think, would it be anybody else? Greg. Right.
Teresa.
And no, Angela reports to.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you said it's principals and the other administrators?
Right. So it would be those administrators that I've mentioned. The instruction staff reports to Joe. Joe reports directly to me. The support staff would report to Gary. Gary would report directly to me. So they are the people that report directly to me.
I see. Okay, well then the math says there's 14 that took this portion of it. There must have been some that did not take it then.
That's correct.
Okay. Would that have been, why would they have not taken done the evaluation?
I don't follow up with that. Some people just don't like to fill out evaluations, fill out forms like that. There's rarely 100% participation among all the administrators. We've done this for Rutherford County in the past, and we've had the same situation there. Not everyone does complete it.
Okay. Would you consider that a positive or a negative vote?
It's very consistent with last year's administrator's evaluation. I think there were a few more that participated last year. I think it's consistent results. I don't see it as a positive or a negative. I just simply see it as as a situation, as a fact.
Okay.
There would have been more that responded last year because there were more people that were reporting directly to me. Once Joe was hired, all of the instruction staff pulled up under him. And I don't know who responded and who didn't because I don't ever see it.
We don't know that. Okay. Well, thank you.
It's kind of like teacher surveys. Everybody doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure there are people that are. Well, did they have a timeline to complete it? Like, if, for instance, they were away from their job, they could still do this within 2 weeks, or do this within?
Yes, there was a timeline. I think if they'd been away, they would certainly had an opportunity within a 2-week period to complete that.
Okay. All right. I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I wanted to have a comment.
Okay.
I wanted to echo something that I see in one of the comments here. It wasn't my comment, but I like the comment. And I want to say amen to it. She always seems to be one step ahead of new trends in education. That is one of the things that I really respect about Dr. Gilbert, and I appreciate that. So I want to tell you that personally.
Well, I appreciate that. I will tell you that has to do with the people that I work with.
Beautiful.
And I'll speak to the community involvement. I think it's excellent. I think it's one of the strengths, absolutely one of the strengths, and the community support that comes from that is, well, I'd say it's hard to exceed what we have here and what you've built in the community. So congratulations on that.
Well, again, I will say that has to do with the people that I work with.
Are you going to give them all the credit?
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. I'll be happy to take any hits, but I'll give them all the credit for the successes, that's for sure. And the board, because of your support. I don't think we could do anything in this district if it weren't for the board that we have. So I really, really appreciate that, and I know that the administrators and all the staff appreciate that very much.
In lieu of a good evaluation, I would like to make a motion. As chairman, I can do that, I think. I'd like to make a motion that we offer Dr. Gilbert a new four-year contract beginning January the 1st of 2018, and that would go through January the 1st of 2022. Now, the current contract that she is under expires, I believe, in 2019, and this would it would replace that, what's left with the current contract, and then we'll start all over with a new contract January the 1st of 2018. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. King. Any question or discussion? Roll call vote, please, ma'am.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett?
Aye.
Mr. Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Revere?
Aye.
Mr. Settle?
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. Ms. Smith is not here. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard for 4 years.
Thank you very much. I look forward to our work. I appreciate that very much.
Mr. Bennett, you have anything else you'd like to say to us? Go home. Again, happy anniversary, and tell your lovely wife, Kathy, we do.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask him a question before he left, if I could. I apologize that I didn't remember it when he was talking.
Okay.
And it's very simple. It's because I'm not as on top as I should be. The appendixes, again, Appendix A, Appendix B, and Appendix C. A represents which group?
The administrators. B is the survey that you all filled out, and C is the specific objectives that you also rated. So the board did Appendix B and C, and the administrators did Appendix A.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
David, on your total evaluation material,
Yes.
look back on second page and you see Appendix A. That's how the,
I got you here.
Got it.
There it is right there. I looked through it and through it.
okay. All right, now, communication, or Dr. Gilbert, you have anything you'd like to say?
Just thank you very much. We have an amazing staff, and we have an amazing board, and I think that showed very well last night. So thank you all for your support of public education in general and specifically for Murfreesboro City Schools.
Now, other communications.
Thank you. We have several to get through tonight. So first of all, let's start with congratulating Leah Barch and Dr. Stacy Burt, who have been chosen to be on the state's gifted focus group. Also, congratulations to Mitchell Nielsen's Katie Capshaw, who is the Tennessee Association of School Librarians State Professional Development Co-Chair, and Shannon Minner at Reeves Rogers, who is the Tassel Area Representative for the Walking Horse Region. Scales Elementary would like to invite you to a blood drive on November the 30th from noon until 6 p.m. in honor of Brenda Radzinski. To schedule an appointment, you can go to redcrossblood.org or just show up at the school. Brenda is the wife of one of our SSEO officers, so that's the reason it's in her honor. Mitchell Nielsen would also like to thank the congregation of First Baptist Church on Castle Street for the generous donation of financial donation, as well as 2 Kindle Fires. Again, Mitchell Nielsen would like to thank Sandy Sheely and the MCS Nutrition Department for helping make their We Are Thankful for the 7 Habits family dinner a huge success. Miss Sheely and her crew served almost 600 dinners, which is just amazing. Reeves Rogers would like to thank Cherry Grove Missionary Baptist, Smith Fork District Association, and Mount Zion Missional Baptist Church for their financial contribution to their family Thanksgiving dinner. Last week we had 2 schools that participated in Junior Beta at the Opryland Hotel. They participated along with about 10,000 other students from across Tennessee. I'm proud to say that both schools walked away with several state honors. For Cason Lane Beta in the essay division, 1, Maya Taylor took home first place. Digital photography, Kale Belcher took second place. In English language arts, 4th grade, Sydney Brown received third place. And in English language arts, 5th grade, Jania Parks received 5th place. We want to thank the sponsors, who's Nicolette Sanders, Taylor Brown, Caroline Goff, and Kim Stewart, who have given endless hours to help the Cason Lane Beta Club students succeed. And if you've ever sponsored something like this, you know that those teachers really give it their all. So secondly, Discovery School had a very successful Beta Club convention as well. They, the book battle team of Ansley Thornton, Ada Vance, and Andrew Smith took first place. The advertising team of Embria Green, Camera King, Jana Ballou, and Lila Wiley took first place. Also placing first was the Quiz Bowl team of Rhett Shaw, Benjamin Elfersey, Cannon Murphy, and Henry Ambrose. In individual academic competitions, and I'm still on Discovery School, Rachel Swycord was the first in the 4th grade math. Collier Pawlowski was first in 5th grade math. Ellie Gardner was first in 4th grade social studies, and Griffin Mentor was 3rd in 5th grade science. In the visual arts category, Kadrin Baggerly and Grayson Kekelis won 2nd place in the sculpture category. Cannon Murphy won 2nd place in the woodworking category, and Megan Zowell won 2nd in charcoal and pastels. Sponsors for the Beta Club at Discovery School are Dr. Christy Mall, Mr. Jason Page, and Kelly Kleppinger. Both schools qualified for nationals in Savannah and will be attending there this summer. So not bad for our 2 Beta Clubs to win so very many awards at this state Beta Convention. I do want to remind you that Commissioner Candace McQueen and Representative Brian Terry will be at the Rutherford County School Board office on December the 4th at 5 p.m. for an education roundtable. This will be a joint meeting between Rutherford County School Board and Murfreesboro City School Board. Questions for the commissioner should be either sent to Jared Barrett for the city or Lisa Moore for the county. This Saturday, December the 2nd, MTSU Baseball will host a free clinic for our students in grades 2nd through 6th at the Reese Smith Baseball Field. This is free to our students and is a conjunction of one of our partnerships with MTSU Athletics. Also, Thursday night, November the 30th, will be a parent information meeting for potential new students and their families at Discovery School beginning at 6 p.m. And then ESP would like to invite you to participate in their winter fun run on December the 9th, beginning at 9 a.m. at Overall Creek Elementary. The fun run is open to all students and staff. The entry fee is a non-perishable food item. Coming up next week, I hope you all have it on your calendar, will be our MTSU Education Day at the Murphy Center. That's December the 5th. We'll take about 7,500 students plus the staff to be a very loud and cheering event for the Blue Raiders. I am sure you guys will all be in attendance and will enjoy that. And speaking of basketball, the basketball championships are this week. So MCS Basketball Championship is this Thursday night, Cason Lane. Girls game begins at 5:30 with the boys game soon to follow, and we will be crowning our champions. One last thing before we introduce our smiling little friend over there. The MCS Transportation Department wants to invite you to come out and see them at the Christmas parade on December 10th. So, I want to go ahead and invite Eddie and Alice and Clark and the rest of Emmeline's entourage to join me, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair. Oh, there's more to your entourage than that. Come on, Reeves Rogers. Well, while they're coming up, Clark is 4. He's one of our integrated preschool students. He doesn't go to Reeves. He actually goes to Northfield, but we're going to count you as the Reeves Rogers entourage right now. I want to say congratulations, and I feel like I'm standing in front of everyone, to the Reeves Rogers Buddy Walk team and the coordinator, Alice Sally, for taking top honors in the Down Syndrome Association of Middle Tennessee Nashville Buddy Walk School Challenge on November the 4th. As a part of Emmeline's entourage, they raised almost $1,400 for Down Syndrome Association in Middle Tennessee. Reeves Rogers won first place trophy along with $1,000 for the Reeves Rogers Special Education Department, a collection of Down Syndrome resource books, and a training session. Where is Emmeline? And here is Emmeline. You're gonna.
Great.
No. I don't know. Thanks for having us. We appreciate you.
Oh, hi. I'm Alice. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Anything? Thank you for having us. Thanks for letting us be us. We're excited for the trainings for the funding for our school.
Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Your shirts, I can't read the kind hearts, fierce mind, brave spirit. I can't read the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, and then it says Emmeline's Entourage on the bottom. And that's how we mainly raised our funds, is we sold them, and a lot of our NCS people supported us. So all the money from NCS went to our school's team.
That's great.
If I could say something, our motto is be somebody that makes everybody feel like a somebody, and that's basically our motto for our whole team. Is that everybody is a somebody.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter who they are or where they come from. Everybody is a somebody, and that's the basis of what we do. Whether it be raising money or raising awareness about inclusion, not only in the schools but in society everywhere. So, but thank y'all for letting us be here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
That's the end of the communications. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, very much. Appreciate it. All right, next item is our consent items, which are policies. Being that these are under consent item, Kelly, we can approve these all at one time on second reading. Is that correct?
Yes.
I will ask, is there anybody who has any questions about any of these policies that we need to pull out before we approve all on second reading? Ms. Renier?
I just have one oh, now it's telling me I'm not connected to the internet. I know it was line 4 on, now that I've moved it, let's see if I can go back and at least get that. The petty cash account number 2.801, it says in the policy, I believe on line 4, that the board will determine the maximum amount of petty cash, I guess, to be in the school, whatever. Do we need to include that now at this point in time, or will that be done later? Do we need to wait perhaps for principals to tell us what's appropriate for their building and then approve it at another time? Basically, we're just approving the policy, right?
Yes.
Okay. That was my only question.
That we don't have petty cash, as we said last time.
That's what I thought.
That we don't make it available if they need it, then we would have to come to the board and say,
Okay.
we need petty cash amount. To predetermine it now would be difficult because they may need $400 for this or $100 for that. So we just kind of leave it open.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, do I have a motion then to approve the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Settle, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? And there is none. Thank you very much. All right, action items. We've already done the first one. Resolution concerning vouchers. And that's the one that I have here, and everyone has signed so far except Collier, who is not here at the moment. Okay, any question or comment about the vouchers?
Oh, well, no, I agree with the consent item approval. I just had a question regarding the field trips. Club Marvel is listed as a school. I'm new to Club Marvel. What is it?
And that's Greg Lyles' that when I said people do great things. This is a field trip that is, students are pulled from across the city. They actually apply for it, and a lot of it is through the guidance counselors, I believe. But they go to MTSU once a month. And so we have over 50 students now, Greg, that are going once a month. And what happens there is the departments actually plan the day. They plan the morning. Now, we have certified teachers that also go with them of our staff, but every department, it's a great partnership with MTSU. And so they may go this month to concrete industry. They may go next month to aerospace. But it's a great exposure for those children to MTSU. And we've been doing it now for several years. Okay. 2011. Good.
Okay. So it's called a club.
Right. It's called Marvel stands. Greg, come on.
It's an acronym. I can't remember the acronym offhand, but it's the Middle Tennessee State University, Murfreesboro City Schools Partnership Achieving something. I'm sorry, but I'll be glad to email that to you.
Well, that's not important, the acronym.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand what it is.
Yeah, the club it's not an actual club, but it is students pulling together too.
And we have pickup points at 5 places across the city.
Okay.
So a parent maybe at Scales the Cason that signs up, they can drop their kid off at Patterson or one of the other 4 locations, Reeves Rogers, Hobgood. I think there's one more, Northfield. And we have 2 buses that pick them up at those locations and bring us to MTSU, and then we take them back to those locations for the parents to pick up.
Oh, I'm sure it's great.
Is that the one that's just boys?
No, ma'am. This is boys and girls, grades 5 and 6. And our goal is 100 students. Right now, we're about halfway there. But Dr. Gilbert indicated our first program was concrete management. And then we don't go in December, we go in January. Some of the other programs we have lined up, horse science, science and chemistry, athletics. And then at the end of the program in May, there will be a tour of the campus, and hopefully we'll have a closing ceremony. They'll receive a certificate signed by Dr. Gilbert, Dr. McPhee, and hopefully receive a medal. And we try to make it special. So we're trying to get a special location on campus to have that ceremony in April, but we'll keep you posted.
I'd like to go to one of them, so let me know. It'll be fun.
And Kelly found what it stands for. Go ahead.
Okay, it stands for Murfreesboro City Schools, Middle Tennessee State University.
I thought that thing was off.
Assuring rigor and vision for the future through the enrichment of learning. So that's a long title.
Wow, that's
Yeah. But during the time Dr. Garrett was at central office, we met with MTSU folks and started this partnership because we've wanted to create a vision for the future with our kids. We need them to start thinking about what they want to do with their lives. And MTSU has so much to offer and to be exposed to, so it was a perfect partnership.
Good. Great. Thank you.
As she indicated also, we've done aerospace. That's a big one that we do as well. So,
Good.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
We've done about. We're ready for it.
We're ready for reports and information.
We need to vote on we need to vote on our resolution.
You didn't vote on the resolution.
I'm gonna add on the resolution. I asked to bring this forward. I know we heard from our legislators the other night, and I was glad to hear Senator Ketron said he was against vouchers, so I appreciated that. But I want to make sure we're on top of this. I know they said it's not going to come back, but I have a feeling it might, so I want to be proactive and let the public and our city know where we stand on the issue. So, and I move we approve the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ranier. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I assumed everybody did because they signed it. All right. Reports and information.
Okay, we have a report. The first report is from Christy Mall and Angela Booney from Discovery School about their China escapade. And if you know these two teachers, you'll understand. Great teachers.
Well, thank you so much for having us. Ms. Booney and I were really honored this summer to be contacted by Dr. McPhee. And of course, we've had a long-standing great relationship with MTSU, and she and I have been working on the side with them in the summers, helping out with their China program. And they contacted us, and China's programs that they're offering now are looking for an infusion of more Americanized ideas. So one of the things that they were interested in was having some American teachers that could come over and give them input, because they are moving from a system where the teachers teach and fill their minds with information, but there's very little reciprocal dialogue or any critical thinking. And they're starting to see that as a society. So we were asked to come in, see some of the programs that they're starting, offer advice on how they could start some of these programs. And we were very honored to get to go. So we flew into Shanghai, and we were in the city of Tianjin, and then in Hangzhou, and then went back to Shanghai and back and got to see some schools and meet with the heads of the universities there. One of the things that I thought you'd be very interested in is they were starting their first preschool. But what was very interesting is that didn't happen overnight. It was a 9-year process. And this tells you a lot about how the Chinese system works. They came up with the idea and discussed for 3 years. Then they went through a 3-year evaluation, then a 3-year implementation program. And then we were there in the 10th year as it was being started for the first time. So that tells you the difference between American education and the Chinese education, but they are very interested in what we are doing to be successful and to teach that creativity.
I do also like to talk, but we decided we were both big talkers, so letting her do most of the talking for this, because I know we have a very limited amount of time, but pretty much I'm going to reiterate what she has said as well. And it was a great honor. I was very excited that we got approval to be able to do this. And, you hear a lot of times of, we have this race of where we're going for our education, and sometimes you feel like, or if we look at a global, they're going the opposite direction. They're trying to go the way that we're going. So it was definitely a very interesting adventure for us, and we have some pictures. I don't know if we can share that, but we can just go through that if that's possible.
Yeah, because we did have a presentation that we had turned in so that you could get some visuals of what it was that we were seeing.
So I don't know if you have it now, but
yeah. But while they look for that, one of the things that I thought was really important is we have parents of Chinese students that have approached us and told us how proud they were that we were able to go and represent America and represent in China, and how much that meant to them. And I mean, like, brings tears to your eyes because they were so incredibly proud.
Oh, that's great.
That's good.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, John. By the way, while he's doing that, let me tell you how much I appreciate Channel 3. Not only did they respond to us and do some great video, as we've seen recently with their schools, but we can send them at the last minute, and he reminds me sometimes that it is the last minute PowerPoints, and John goes ahead and takes care of them. So I want to give a shout out to Channel 3 and John Paget and also Alan Bozeman for their work with us.
Christy, how long were you and Angela there?
A week.
A week? That's a fast week, I'm sure.
It really is, especially when you calculate there's about 24 hours of travel involved.
Yeah.
So it was very, it was wonderful, but they're also 13 hours ahead of us. So at this moment, they're getting up and getting ready for school. And so to get on that schedule and then have to flip right back and come to school and start teaching after we got back we were exhausted. That was tough. So that was definitely challenging.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Saddles?
This is so interesting to me. Were you all part of a larger group, or was it you were the group?
Well, we were there with a Canadian teacher as well. So it was a partnership with Canada, the United States. And I mean, to put this in perspective, we were representing the United States.
That's
was,
where I'm going.
Wow, that was
Yes.
overwhelming to go, hey, we were the expert teachers, and they had giant banners that said, Dr. Christy Mall, expert teacher, Angela, expert teacher, and we were like, and they were taking pictures of us like we were rock stars. Like,
Well,
were.
I'm racking my brain really, literally now thinking of how I can get you all more exposure about the fact that from Murfreesboro City Schools, you represented the whole United States
Yes.
in China. That is
huge.
it's mind blowing.
Education Olympian.
That's beautiful.
And we actually did present at a conference that they had and had to go through the translation process to do so. But they had their heads of the city and the head of the area for education was there. I mean, it was really a big deal for us to be there. And I mean, just flowers and children singing and you're like, oh, and we were just like, wow.
Literally red carpet.
Yeah, it was literally the red carpet. So it was an amazing experience. And then to get to see what they're doing, and then we got to spend time with their teachers and talk to them about what they're doing in the classrooms and what we're doing in the classrooms. I mean, how blessed are we that we got a chance to do that?
That's beautiful. I want to commend you, and I thank you for your service, especially that you came back and went back to work.
We did.
You were there only a week, and then Dr. Gilbert said you had to get right back to work as soon as you came.
I'm sure that's exactly what I said.
We had one day of sleep to kind of get caught up. And
we came in after midnight.
Yeah, because we got in after midnight. Once we flew in from Seattle.
So you got in after midnight, and you got up at 7 and came to school.
And then
I
the
met him
next
at the
day
airport.
we
I said, "Get
slept, and then we came in the next day.
We did.
So, and we were all just, whew, yes. So can we see the presentation?
What time of the year did you go?
Beginning.
The beginning of the school year. So in August. We were about 2 weeks into the school year at that point.
Are they in school at that point also? What's their schedule like?
They go, like, they're in attendance now until June to July. And they have a little bit of a break during the winter period, so they're about to go into a small break. But their schedule is not quite agrarian like ours is. And so it's more broken up into like a 7-month period, and then there's more like a 4-month period. But yes. They did have students that were in session, and they even took us to the brand new school to show us everything that was in the school and had an open house for parents to come and see.
How many stories? It was like four
stories tall.
Four-story.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
We thought we were fancy.
Right, what's-
Chandeliers and everything.
So, I mean, it was amazing.
How long, when you say they have a school that's 4 stories, how many students do they have? Is it like ours with 1,000, or is it
3,000?
It was
3,000?
It was a significant. That's what I'm trying to. Okay, pictures are up.
Oh,
just show.
It's just from the
Just show by
map from the back of the plane.
size and scope of this. Some of them said it looks like those are like, that's a living room and a kitchen area. But that's the entrance fee. Literally, we did get red.
fancy?
We really did get red carpet.
Yeah, red carpet.
Literally.
Again, she's saying like.
Oh, wow.
At least made fun.
I don't
But
know.
I think one of the things that you have to realize when you're talking about China, and that's a Stonehenge model, by the way, that they had outside the school for the students to explore. I mean, the innovations that they had were amazing. That's
the
their play area.
playground.
And notice American, Canadian, and Chinese flag flying in honor of the conference that was going on. And that's their foyer. Their foyer is amazing.
Of the school.
Before you at the school?
Of the
At the
school.
school.
I
Yeah.
thought you meant the hotel.
Mr. Anderson, we need to work on some things.
Well, one of the things that we learned is they have private schools for a majority of the people, because when you're in a city like the city that we were in there are more people that live in that city than in the state of Tennessee. So you have to think in sheer numbers of who's being educated, and there are so many wealthy Chinese that want to educate their children, as well as the government system. So you've got different systems that are occurring at the same time. And then they have the universities, which is Dongcheng University and Hangzhou University, who were bringing us in to talk about the education practices.
And there's been a very long collaboration with that. I know even Collier Smith being on the board was in the first year. Yeah, you went.
I was in the first year.
First year with that, so it's now like 10.
We have My family has participated in the exchange for 5 years.
Yeah, so and Christy and I have also done that too, and I know you have, where every other year they've had collaborations where they come here to the United States, and we've done professional development with them as well when they come here.
And I think that's part of what the great honor was. We did professional development and training for them this summer through MTSU, and then they asked that we could come back and actually go to China and work with their teachers in China. And the teachers there are so eager to learn, and they're so welcoming to Americans and American ideas and learning what they can do for these kids. So it was just, it's an amazing opportunity to get to see what they're doing and to see how they're wanting to move towards what we have. And I think that's so ironic, because we're always trying to rework what we're doing, but then other countries are looking at us going, but we want to be creative like you. We want our students to be able to make things. We want them to be able to do more creative things than we're doing now, and they recognize that.
Yeah, I think that's very consistent on a global scale of, you know, when people look at America, and we're very bold and confident and entrepreneurs, and let's do that, and creative thinkers. And I think that's also just an important note to remember about education in general, is, you know, we need to continue with that and foster that, because it's crucial to our future.
It absolutely is. So,
It's
a great honor.
In the school that was so large, and you think maybe there were 3,000 students, do they put the primary and elementary together with middle and high school, and do they have that distinction or no?
They do separate them. This building that you are seeing there was the opening of a preschool. So that would be through age 6. They don't have a kindergarten like we have. The children go through the preschool process until they're 6 years old and start in 1st grade, and then they go up from there. And then we saw schools that had 1st through 8th grade. It's hard to tell because the kids are so much smaller than our kids.
Right.
It's really hard to judge how old they are because they look very young and they are a lot smaller. But the 1st through 8th grade will be a 3-4 story school that hosts thousands of children, and then they have the upper grades from there, and then they can go through programs from that. But the big rush right now is parents are really wanting to put their kids on track for success, and they've realized that a preschool is the way to do that. And so that is a very hot commodity right now, is to get their children trained very early so that they will be ahead of the group. Because as one of our interpreters told us, in America we say we're 1 in a million, but in China we're 10,000 of a million. And so it's really hard to stand out. And so parents are very desperate to make their children be the ones that stand out and can be successful, because there is such a large population to compete with.
It's very interesting. Right.
Well,
Did you bring something back that you would incorporate in your classroom?
Oh, absolutely.
What little tidbits did you learn from them?
Well, one of the things that I did with my students, and I actually have a student that is a first-generation American, and his parents still speak Chinese and are have only been here for 14 years. And so he loved it because it was a time where I could share the language. I brought back gifts for all the kids and candy and food, and we talked about the different cultures. And one of the things they really enjoyed, we took pictures of the meals because what they had to eat is so unusual compared with what we would have to eat. So we talked about the different customs and the different things that they would serve at their meals. Even the way of dress was different, but then there were moments where things were so Americanized, and it was interesting to see the influence. So inside the school, there were little Pokemon hanging from the ceiling, which of course is a huge thing in America. So they loved that we were seeing things from America that were there, and talking about the kids and how much they love learning about the different cultures. And also, they are very heavy on teaching English to students. So their students are very proficient. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from it, and I talked to my students about this, and that sometimes they would take the students and tell them, you're going to learn calligraphy, for example. And one little girl was telling me about calligraphy. And she said, for the first 3 years, my parents made me do it, and I hated it. And I didn't want to do calligraphy. but I did calligraphy. And after 3 years, I learned that I was good at calligraphy. And now I am the head of my class in calligraphy, and I'm very proud of that. And I thought, you know, that's really interesting because I'm a parent of 2 children, we tend to go, oh, you don't like that? We'll find something else. Yeah, you don't like that? Oh, we'll try something else. But that's one thing that they really stress is perseverance and sticking to it, whether you like it or not, to see if you have a skill in that, and then waiting to see if that skill will develop. And I thought that was very fascinating. But the other thing that I thought was really interesting is these kids go to school all day, and then they have 3 to 4 hours of homework each night. And that means there's very little socialization time. And that was one thing that they were concerned about, is that as a society, they're learning that socialization because they are spending so much time pushing academics, again, so that they can be at the head of the competition. But then, you know, they're starting to wonder, is that the best thing? Is it better for them to develop the social skills or to develop the academics? And it's great that they're asking those questions. And they're looking at that at the university level and trying to figure out how we can incorporate that into the schools in order to help the students be more social.
I'll agree on that. Yeah, and I'll just say, coming from even just basic, I'm a first grade teacher, just that basic knowledge of just a different culture and a different way of life, and you know, as simple as even just making sure that the stories that I was including for read alouds, if I was trying to teach a particular skill, just incorporating anything that had to do with that travel. And you know, of course, they're just sponges, so they love to hear, you know, everything about that. So just as simple as that.
Even with the reading, to incorporate Yashin, which is the story of Cinderella, but it's in Chinese. Right. And we shared pictures.
The lotus seed.
The lotus seed.
I
yes.
ate lotus, and it was wonderful.
Yes, and so just to share that with the kids was huge. And even kids from other classrooms were coming in saying, I heard you just got back from China. What can you show me from China? What food? Do you have food? Do you have things that you brought back? Do you have something special? And that was really great to see all of these kids from other classrooms coming to us and asking about China, because that interest was just so intense in what we had done and what we had learned. So it was an amazing experience.
Again, thank you.
Thank you very much. That is a wonderful report. You must. I know you had a good time. I know you learned a lot and you shared a lot. I can tell from the enthusiasm that both of you had. But thank you very much for representing not only your school and your school system, and state, but also, as David said, the whole United States. Thank you. We're proud of you. Thank you.
And our next one is another traveler. Kayla Mullen.
Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. So I'm still a little bit, I guess, frazzled that this even happened, that I got to do this. I'm so honored, and I thank you for letting me speak. I was invited to a symposium in Los Angeles, Northern Hollywood in California, in October. And I was invited to speak on a panel discussion about how I use talent-based differentiation and instruction with twice exceptional students. So if you don't know what twice exceptional students are, they are students who are identified gifted who also have a learning challenge or disability. For example, gifted with ADHD, gifted with autism, gifted with sensory processing disorder. And so they invited me to come be on a panel and answer questions about how I do that specifically with early childhood. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Discovery School. So they were global experts from this very small field of research of twice exceptionality. And so to be invited to represent Tennessee at this global conference was kind of hard to believe, still a little bit unbelievable. So I flew into LA, and that night I had a tour of the school that is one of the leaders in twice exceptional instruction. It's a fully twice exceptional campus, and it's called Bridges Academy. And I got to tour the school, and it was not as big and dreamy as the Chinese schools, but it was really, really awesome, and it was incredible to see the middle school and the high school and how they take the interests of the children and the students and develop these passions while also including these academic standards. And so, for example, there was a middle school student who his passion was chickens. And so he ran a chicken coop on the campus, and he researched for hours and hours and built the coop, trained the other students, and he sells his eggs for $15 a dozen because they have the top feed. They've got the top hay and grass and things they're very nice chickens. And he's making money because the people in the community are getting these high quality eggs from these hens. And so that was one example. Another example was I purchased a book that was published by a 7th grader. It published, it had a few illustrations, but he told me that illustrations were not his thing. So he signed the inside cover, and it was called "Why I Never Did My Homework and How That Helped Me Be Successful." And so it's just it was really awesome to meet these children and to see them work in the school day on this on the day that I flew in, and then the conference started the next day, and so I got to network with these people, these researchers who have developed and grown this field that not many people, especially in our area, know about, and I got to learn about and teach others about how to do these things in the early childhood setting. They were experts in middle school and high school setting, and so they wanted me to come to share how I incorporate it, down into the early grade levels. So I talked about my strategies that I use with my kindergartners. In kindergarten we do social emotional instruction already, but when you've got these children who maybe their giftedness is masked by their disability, or maybe their disability is masked by their giftedness, they come with this whole other pool of behaviors that you kind of have to, you got to work at it, and it's a trick almost every day, but they were really interested in that, in the early childhood aspect of this field. So I have connections in New York now with the Twice Exceptional campus. In Bridges, they want to expand to lower grade levels, and so they want to be in contact with us and Discovery School and Murfreesboro City Schools about how to do that. We had a table that represented Murfreesboro City Schools, that people came and talked to us about our gifted program and about our school and what we do there. It was phenomenal. And I'm honored that I got the support of my school and my district to go. So thank you for that, and thank you for that.
Questions, comments, Ms. Smith?
Several. One is, don't make such contacts in New York that you leave Murfreesboro.
Never.
So what's your background in
Early childhood education. I'm a 4th-year teacher.
So, but with the Twice Exceptional, so what's your experience with that? And also, and the second thing is, are Twice Exceptional already designated that at kindergarten?
No, not typically. My experience is I've taught children who are Twice Exceptional who have been identified gifted and have been identified with a learning disability, and I've taught students who, that's my experience. I've taught them. So I don't have any, I don't know I don't think there's any formal.
Well, that's what I was wondering about that age.
Right.
So what did you just do a lot of research on Twice Exceptional?
Well, I got started in the Twice Exceptional that. I found out about it at Confertute when I went to to UConn for this whole week-long gifted Twice Exceptional conference. And that's where I learned about, and still it was a very tiny portion of that conference, but that's where I learned about Twice Exceptionality. And from there, I started reading and researching and talking to colleagues and people I met there. And actually, that's how they remembered me from Confertute. Mm-hmm. And that's how they contacted me. I got an email, and then I spoke on the phone and sent emails and proposals and things like that.
So for the other board members that don't know about Confertute, Discovery School, when it was established, I think that a lot of it was based on what people had learned at Confertute through the Renzulli method.
Renzulli's at University of Connecticut, and so we were trained when the school first opened for 3 years by UConn in how to work with gifted students as an entire faculty. So we went through 3 years of training and then had 2 more years of consultation with them as the open
sorry, I just wanted to explain.
No, go ahead.
Yes.
What was the name? I didn't understand. Would you spell that?
Confertute.
Confertute?
Conference, Fraternity, and Institute. Is that correct? All in one word.
Spell it,
Conference.
please.
CONFRATUTE. It's fun. It's career changing.
Feels just like
life changing.
Confertute.
UTE. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome. No
I just
problem.
was lost. I thought, my hearing's really bad.
I'm so glad to be able to explain something to you about education.
Kayla, did you have to apply for this honor?
No, sir. They invited me.
They found her?
I did have.
They found you because of things you had done.
I got an email from Confertute saying, hey, there's this symposium, would you like to attend? And then when I reached out, I said, hey, I was at Confertute. Oh, we remember you. That's what it was.
Okay.
And she said, we've got to get you here.
Very good.
That's fantastic.
Very
That's
good.
another Olympian for us.
I love
Very
that.
good.
Mr. Settles?
I'm just getting more and more excited about our school system the more we learn. I'm glad you were able to go. Number one, did you buy any of those eggs
I did
for
not.
$15? Because I was going to get a couple of, okay.
Hey, but I'll contact him. I'm sure he can figure it
Yeah,
out.
I don't know that I'm ever going to eat them, but I just like to say
She'll
that
see if she can get you a couple of 3 or 4 dozen.
why not? We can split the cost. But Twice Exceptional is somewhat of a subgroup of Gifted. Is that? Am I getting that
I
right?
would call it a subgroup of special ed.
Subgroup of special ed. Okay, and this is something
They
that.
touch the giftedness and the disabled.
Okay.
So,
And as far as we know,
Mm-hmm.
you're the only one, probably, well, I don't know, if anybody else in Middle Tennessee, well, I'll just say that nobody else is doing this in any other district. So we're the best again, and we're also number one.
absolutely.
I just thought I'd say that. I'm sorry. Do you know how many good things we have?
Oh,
You know what I would love?
Wonderful.
Can I say what I would love? I would love to grow the field of twice exceptionality, especially in our district. But my heart is in early childhood, and the field of early childhood twice exceptionality is nowhere. And so I spoke to people about research we could do. I spoke to people about getting them out here to come to our schools, us going out there to look at bridges. And in New York, it's called Quad, I believe. Do you know Quad School? So
Yeah, because my question then would be, even if you were to develop it here, would it come just from referrals? Because I know there's not maybe a testing. It would be
Or you mean
referrals to that.
Are you talking about like a twice exceptional program, sort of like
Yes.
a gifted program? I think that we'd have to develop some sort of, I would work with Dr. Burton and Leah Barch on what kind of avenue we could go for identification purposes, because that's already a struggle for giftedness, right?
Sure.
So that's what I would try to develop, like I don't know, maybe, well, the hard part is about this field is that, like I said, sometimes the giftedness masks the disability, and sometimes the disability masks the giftedness. And so it's a tough field.
One of the things, and it's a day, I guess, or a half day at the Gifted Academy has to do with Twice Exceptional. And if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Calder works with you all for that particular day. Angela, I don't know whether you want to add anything, or Tamara. Right.
Like, how many do you think you serve?
Would you come up to the mic so that
Sorry.
otherwise they're not going to hear on the.
I can only speak for the 4 schools that I serve, and in my schools we have I know for a fact I've got at least 2 at each school easily that are twice exceptional. But 2 students minimum, but that's just the minimum. And that is identified, and they were identified very young.
That's twice exceptional.
Yes. Most of the students that I deal with that are twice exceptional either have a learning disability or the autism is one of the biggest.
And what schools do you serve?
I'm at Black Fox, Mitchell Nielsen, Scales, and Irma Siegel.
So
And
this
I know
would
Overall
be,
Creek, I can speak for that just because I worked there, and I know I had for sure one that was in just one of my classes when I taught in the classroom.
so the twice exceptional, to help me understand, would be like the Rain Man? Is that?
That would be more of he's twice exceptional, absolutely, but his is definitely, it's thank you for
Extreme.
the word I'm trying
Yeah.
to put, but yeah, he's an extreme case of giftedness. Like his giftedness is beyond the typical child.
And exhibits in a way that, you know, everyone can kind of notice.
Right. And typical twice exceptional children are very average looking at times. You may not even realize that they have any gifted tendencies. You may not even realize that they have any disability because their disability is masked by the fact that they're able to compensate for it. Dyslexic children have a tendency to be able to compensate for the way that they read if they have a gifted diagnosis, or if they don't even have a gifted diagnosis. They can fall under the radar quite easily. Right. So one of the things that we're trying to do at the Gifted Academy is to make sure that everybody is well trained in what to look for so that they can identify those twice exceptional children.
They take a special set of strategies.
Special set of eyes to
Yes.
know what to look for just when you're teaching.
A twice exceptional student could be one who is gifted and at the same time have a physical disability.
Most of the time we're talking about a disability that is going to be
Hinder their
academic.
learning.
Cognitive.
Not necessarily a physical disability, such as dyslexia or autism or ADHD, as well as being gifted.
Okay.
Angela, anything, I don't know whether you have,
And not many people know that.
Right.
It's just twice exceptional just means you have two certifications.
Right.
What is the assessment, how and or who makes the diagnosis that a child is twice exceptional?
Well, the school psychologist would be able to help with some of the diagnoses, such as the autism. They would do some of the testing for that. And then some of the gifted testing would come through us, and we would do different testing instead of doing your typical, just the typical test that we would do. We would find a way to incorporate taking out processing speed when they're doing IQ testing for the school psychologist. We might do a nonverbal test instead of a verbal test. There's just a variety of tests that we would do.
So it's done by the school psychologist.
Some of them are done by the school psychologist and some are done by the gifted department.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. I'm proud.
Yes,
Proud to be
very
associated with such a wonderful group of people.
Absolutely.
Where is, can I ask one more little question? Where is the Bridges Academy?
It is in
Los
Studio
Angeles?
City, California.
Studio City, okay. My daughter lives
You should
out
take
there.
a field
so-
trip.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think we all should.
I'd like to do that.
They would welcome you if you say you're from Murfreesboro City Schools.
If, that's right.
Thank you.
and if I could add one more thing, I think here is evidence of why it's so important that you all chose to focus on individual children, which included the gifted children, because what you will find is, as she has said, and certainly Angela with special ed knows, is so many times those are masks. And so it takes a special, as they've said, a special set of eyes. So through the Gifted Academy, through the gifted specialists being there and working with teachers, if we did not have that, I'm not sure that some of the children that we have would be identified as they are now. So just know that your role in supporting that with funding and supporting those positions has been critical.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Next item is to update our meeting with state legislators. I don't know about everybody else, but I thought it went very well. I thought we had some good conversation back and forth. Had some wonderful questions. Anybody else? I was glad to see on Scott Broden's video today that Ketron says he's going to sponsor a bill to have a moratorium for 2 years.
Yeah, I very much
At least at the start.
that feedback from him and the other. I thought they were all very much, I thought they had their ears on and they were listening to us.
Finally.
I think so. I think that I was surprised that they felt like charter schools and vouchers were kind of taking a back burner right now, which is very appealing to me, and that they are also on it about the inadequacy with the state testing.
I think that because of the 2 years of the mess-ups with state testing, I think it's gotten a lot of people's attention other than just those of us in the education field.
I agree.
Really do. Jared?
I wish they would have took a firmer stand on the A through F grading. of the schools. I was a little disappointed in some of the answers. They're aware of our stance on it. I wish they would get on board some of the legislation that's moving through, but that's still a terrible idea. I hope they can change that in the upcoming legislative
As
idea.
they said, if you have a suggestion and a way for them to do that.
For the testing. That was for the testing.
But I think they said anything that we had
there's several bills.
questions about, that they would,
Yeah.
don't just tell us there's a problem, tell us what we need to do about it. And I'd be glad to tell them about a lot of things, but,
Well, there were several bills in the last legislative session they could have all signed on. I know Senator Tracy had a bill for the A through F grade bill, and he was about the only one that signed on it, so they're aware.
Yeah, I thought that was.
The education the person on the education committee was not there last night.
I thought that was interesting, especially the mention of the fact that, it was brought up or said that our lobbyists or TSBA had not been making enough noise. I thought that was an interesting comment.
But otherwise, a good meeting. I thought it was.
I thought it was good.
I
Wes?
appreciate
This
it.
is a question regarding next week, or did I may be jumping ahead. And Mr. Barrett, maybe for you, the questions that we submitted, are they going to just go into a pool of questions and then the moderator's going to ask those questions, or will it come to the individuals to ask that
That's
question?
exactly what you just said, and right now I've only had questions from Collier and from you.
Okay, so
what I'll probably do is pick the one question you want, and we'll throw it to you. She's giving a presentation, Dr. McQueen. I sat down with Lisa last night, Lisa Moore. She's the Rutherford County School Board member, and Representative Terry. We were talking about how they wanted to handle that meeting on Monday, and he was going to do an introduction. She's going to give her presentation. Some of those questions might go away after the presentation.
Right.
I have a feeling we're going to have more questions after the presentation. So, but we're definitely going to try to get some of those. A lot of the questions we're getting are more in the weeds or more technical questions about testing or certain things about testing. And I suggested that they submit all the questions to Dr. McQueen, and she can do bullet points beside each question so we can get it back to our teachers and our staff to see the responses back to some of those questions. Because some of the general audience isn't going to know. I'm trying to think of a specific question, but anyway, but they're not going to know, like, we live it every day. They don't. They're more concerned as testing screwed up, who's responsible, who's accountable, how are you going to fix it? And I told that to Representative Terry last night too. I said, that's what they want to hear from her. It's like, we're responsible, we're going to fix it, and this is how we're going to fix it. And I even said if she'd go there Monday and say that, we'd all probably clap our hands and say, thank you, that's all we wanted to hear. But I doubt we're going to hear that.
However, the proof is in the pudding.
True.
Yeah.
As the old saying goes. I think we've heard we're going to fix it before.
Unfortunately.
I mentioned to Dr. Terry that, even the article that was in the paper back a couple of weeks ago about her coming here, and she says immediately she has a presentation. We already have heard all of her, how wonderful this is and how great that is, and the data here says this, and we don't need to hear much of that. And I mentioned that to Dr. Terry last night, that if there's any way we can kind of put a limit on what she wants to tell us so that we could ask the questions of her.
Okay.
So are our questions going to be verbatim?
To Dr. McQueen?
Yes.
Yeah. As far as I know.
I think
That's what I was-
Brian will do the asking of the questions. Am I right?
He's the moderator, so he's going to. Yeah, but we're going to get to as many as we can. And right now, like I said, you and Wes, you might be you and Wes.
Well, fantastic. I like my questions, and I like his too.
Yeah, there you go. But if you have, I'll just remind you, if you have questions for Monday, please get them to me. We've had 3 from our district.
You're going to give us
So
90 minutes?
and I had a teacher.
Give us 60 minutes or 90 minutes or?
We don't know how long the presentation. That was one thing I asked. Like, how long is the presentation? We don't know. She hasn't told us the length. I mean, we know it's going to go from probably 5 to 6:30, 7 o'clock. So just plan for that.
Okay.
So.
All right. Revenue and expenditure report. Mr. Anderson, is that you?
Yes. We're at the 33% mark of the year. We're in the red, $2,813,000. Last year at this time, we're in the red, $2,260,000. I think the biggest difference is we've grown more this year, and there's no additional money that comes in, even though you're paying for all the expenses for the growth. Percentage-wise, on our revenue and expenditures, we're right on target of where we should be. The sales tax collections were up $88,000 over last year. Last year at this time we were up $223,000, which tells me that economically, or the economy has slowed down a little bit in it. So I'm hoping that what's been reported recently is the holiday sales have really picked up this year. So I'm hoping that it's going to be reflective in our numbers as well. But overall, our percentages were right where we're supposed to be at this point of the year.
Okay. Any questions? We have a enrollment report, or
we had that last time, and
okay,
we'll have another one
next time. Okay. All right. Any other business coming before the board tonight? Again, I want to say thank you for your participation last night. I thought it was good, and if you haven't, and I haven't gotten a question to Jared, we want to make sure we try to get that done. But it may not get asked, but because it may be similar to another question.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens easily as well. So, but I hope everybody can attend that next Monday. Be a little different.
Yeah.
Mr. King?
Am I right? Sunday the 10th, December 10th is the Christmas parade?
Yes.
You know, if Transportation Department was up to defend their trophy?
Out there, absolutely. In fact, I think they started on it right after the last Christmas. So they've had it 2 years in a row, so we'll see. It'll be
Are they
interesting.
asking for people to ride on the float like Butch?
I mean, we
riding on-
expect you all to be there.
I make no promises.
We also have the basketball game coming up.
On the championship.
That's on December the 5th, I think.
Is it a girls or
Girls.
game?
The county schools went last week with their 4th and 5th grade students, and they took about 5,000 students, I think.
Wow.
But ours is a girls' game, and we take grades 1 through 6, correct?
That's
About
right.
8,000, 7,000,
And what
A lot.
time is the game?
11 o'clock.
11.
Some of the loudest times Murphy Center gets.
That's right. I think we hold, I've forgotten which place, but we have like, out of the top 10, we're right there.
It's on the calendar.
With the numbers. Decibels too, I'm sure.
And I want to say a big thank you to Lisa for last night. I know you did an awful lot of work, and you may have had some help, but I know a lot of work you did on the setting up and the printing of the name tags and getting everything organized and that sort of thing. And we appreciate very much what you did, because it was very nice.
Thank you.
All of the county board members expressed to me how nice the setup was and how everything went. So that's good.
You really didn't have to say that.
All right. Anything else? Anything else coming before our board tonight?
Breakfast at Northfield, you might want to mention that, the system breakfast Saturday.
That's right, the
What is it?
system
Special
employees.
guest gonna be
breakfast
there?
with
There's a
Santa.
special guest
Saturday.
coming.
Oh, what time is that Saturday?
Starts today.
8 to 10?
Yeah, 8 to 10. It's a
And
great time.
Mr. Shacklet is there to take pictures for our employees, and he's been there
But
since
the
the
main attendee will be there as well, and the guy in the red suit.
Don't mention any names.
Won't mention any names.
It's a good-
The guy in the red suit's gonna be there.
It's a good time. I've been the past couple years.
I have too, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you and good night.
All right.